And there are 3 activities in this lecture: activity 1, 2, and 3. All these activities we're going to learn about. We're going to normalize data to a third normal form. The following steps will be used. The first step, we are given data in unnormalized form. The second step will be changing or transforming the data from unnormalized form to a first normal form, and then we'll take the data in first normal form to a second normal form, and finally we'll take the data in second normal form to a third normal form. Now let us look at activity 1. This is the unnormalized table for activity 1. We've got a table or a relation with 7 attributes or 7 columns. We've got student number, lecturer name, lecture room, class 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, the repetition of data in this table. Now, how do we transform that table to a first normal form? First, we need to remove all repeating fields and decompose the data in smallest part. This is what we get. We get a much smaller table with a student number column, lecturer number column, lecturer first name, lecturer last name, lecturer room, and the class number. Now, how does that table can be transformed to a normal form? We need to remove all redundant data in the table which was in the first normal form. When we remove it, we are going to get 2 new tables. The first table is students with a student number column, lecturer number column, lecturer first name, lecturer last name, and lecturer room. And table 2, we've got a registration table with the student number and the class number. How do we transform the data from second normal form to third normal form? All data which is not dependent on a primary key, must be eliminated. That means not deleting them, it means moving them to another new separate table. Then we'll have 3 tables. Table 1, students with the student number, lecturer number, student first name, and student last name. Table 2 is lecturers with the lecturer number, lecturer first name, lecturer last name, and lecturer room. And table 3 is registration with the student number and class number. Finally, we are going to see the relationship between those 3 tables, whereby we have student with registration, student number, which is a primary key in a student table, becomes a foreign key in a registration table, and lecturer table has one-to-many relationship with student. That means one lecturer can have 1 or more students. That is the end of activity number 1. Now, let us look at activity number 2. We've got a normalized table or normalized data with employee details, department. We have employee ID, name, department code, department name, project number, time on project 1, project 2, time on project 2, project 3, and time on project 3. Now, let us look at a table in first normal form, whereby we have employee ID, project number, time on project, last name, first name, department code, and department name. As we can see, all repeating data has been removed and data has been chunked into smaller parts. Now, how does that data in first normal form can be converted to a second normal form? We get 2 new tables. The first table is employees and projects, where we have employee ID column, project number column, time on project. And we have got employees table with employee ID, last name, first name, department code, and department name. Now, converting that data in second normal form to third normal form, you have to remove all columns or attributes which are not dependent on the primary key, and then we'll have 3 tables. The first table is employees and project, where we have employee ID, project number, and time on project. Table 2 is employee. Table 3 is department. Now let us look at relationships between those three tables. We've got employees and project, whereby we have one-to-many relationship between employees and projects, and then we'll have departments where one department can have one or more employees. Now let us look at activity number 3. We've got a normalized table with employee ID, name, manager, department, sector, and spouse or children. Means these are dependents of an employee. The table in first normal form, it's whereby we have to remove all repeating groups, and the field must contain smallest meaningful values. We've got employee ID now, first name, last name, manager, department, sector, spouse, child number 2, and child number 3. So the table in first normal form, there will be no more repeated fields. You've got employee ID, first name, last name, manager, department, sector, and dependent. Now, how do we normalize the data in first normal form to a second normal form? We continue removing repeated data from the table. Now we get two tables. Table 1, employee, whereby we have employee ID, first name, last name, manager, department, and sector. And then we'll have table 2 for dependent with employee ID and the dependent. So the tables in second normal form will be employee, as we can see, with employee ID, first name, last name, manager, department, and sector. Table 2 is dependent with employee ID and dependent. Table 2 is manager with manager ID and manager. Now, taking that data in second normal form and normalizing it to a third normal form, we must remove repeated data from tables and make sure that all attributes are depending on the primary key. All attributes that are not dependent on the primary key will be moved to a separate table. Now, in second normal form, we've got three tables: employee, dependent, and manager. Now, when we remove repeated data and all keys that are not dependent on a primary key, we'll get 4 new tables. Table number 1 is employees with employee ID, first name, last name, and department code. Table number 2 is dependents with employee ID and their dependents. And table number 3 is managers. We have manager ID and the manager. And table number 4 is departments. We've got department code, department itself, sector, and manager ID. And this is the relationship between the tables. As you can see, one employee can have one or more dependents, either a spouse or children, and then for a manager, it's one to many, where many is on the department side and one is on the manager's side. And department with the employees, one department can have one or more employees. Thank you very much.